Hi, Joe. How are you?
Hey, well, thanks. How you doing?
Good. So first of all, congratulations. It's on such a funny, dark, thought-provoking series. I watched all 10 episodes in one weekend and could relate.
Oh, amazing. Thank you. I'm really happy you liked it.
So you've created the show, you've wrote and directed many of the episodes. This feels like a really personal project. So is Josh Corman, which sounds a lot like Joseph Gordon, your alter ego, and to what extent?
He is a lot like me. I think he's a lot like all of us. He's somebody who's doing his best and has a lot to be grateful for in his life and wants to be happy but isn't necessarily happy all the time. And that's something I relate to. I think it's something that we could all relate to. And I have so much to be grateful for in my life, but sometimes my brain goes to these dark places and I can't help it. I try to stop it. I say, hey brain, don't do that. You have so much to be grateful for. My brain doesn't always listen to me. And that's what you get to see in Mr. Corman.
Can definitely relate to that. That scene where Josh is getting an anxiety attack, it is so well captured and it's so raw. I believe you wrote that scene from your own firsthand experience of when you're anxious. So can you talk about fine-tuning that scene?
Well, I've had experiences like that in my life. Maybe not as intense as the character in the show. I have other people in my life that are close to me that have had really intense anxiety experiences, and some of the writers that I worked with, as well as the director who directed the episode you're talking about, have experiences with those feelings. We also spoke to a doctor of neuropsychology to get the perspective from a scientist. And one of the things she said that really stuck with me was, I want to make sure that this doesn't stigmatize anxiety, but rather normalizes it, because it's so many people have these feelings. It feels like everybody I talk to either has those feelings themselves or is close with someone who has those feelings. And one of the things that is a hurdle that people have to overcome is feeling comfortable to talk about it. A lot of people don't feel comfortable to talk about it because they'll feel like, oh, people are gonna think I'm broken or weird, or people are gonna think I'm whining or something. But there's no reason to think that, and or there's no reason to think that someone's broken or weird or whining if they're experiencing these feelings of anxiety. It's a normal thing, and the best is to not blame people for it, but to be forgiving and accepting and supportive and kind to each other about it.
Thank you for for bringing this conversation and to try to normalize these conversations, really. My favorite episode is the last one called The Big Picture. It definitely stayed with me. So the pandemic has changed everyone's outlook on life. So how's the pandemic and working on the series, which began basically as a self-reflection, how did it make you think about the bigger picture?
Oh, that's such a great question. I come back to gratitude when I see the big picture. And you're. I love that you watched all of the episodes. And there is this thing in a museum in Los Angeles called the Big Picture, which is this massive picture of so many stars and galaxies, and it's actually just a very small sliver of the universe. And when I see things like that, part of me feels very small, and that can be scary, but part of me just feels so grateful that I get to be alive and a human being in this vast space of the universe. And experiencing the pandemic also brought me back to gratitude, because at first, I'll be honest, I was frustrated. We were in the middle of shooting Mr. Corman, this project I cared so much about, and we had to stop shooting, and I was like, oh no, we have to stop. But very quickly I realized, like, oh, I don't have anything to complain about. People are going through genuinely hard times. People are getting sick and dying here. Who cares about me shutting down a TV show? And I ultimately just felt so grateful to be alive and get to be safe in my house with my family.
And lastly, very quickly, is there an episode, there's an episode where we see Josh's many worlds. What would an alternate universe look like for you?
An alternate universe. I mean, that is kind of what this show is in many ways. Is me thinking about, well, my life could have gone differently. Like I said a second ago, I have so much to be grateful for, and I think a lot of that comes down to luck. I worked hard? Yeah, I have, but a lot of people work hard, and not everybody gets the lucky breaks that I've gotten. So I spend a lot of time thinking about, well, what if my luck had been different in this way or that way? And Mr. Corman is in many ways how my life just as easily could have gone.
Thank you so much for gifting us with the show and wishing you all the best.
Well, thank you. I'm really happy you liked it. So great talking to
All
you.
right. Thank
Thanks.
you.